Hi, welcome to Blogging Hits TV. This is Culturally Determined, and I'm your host, Aryeh Cohen-Wade. And my guest today is Zandy Hartig. Zandy, could you introduce yourself?
I'm Zandy Hartig.
Thanks for coming on. How would you...
I'm on Twitter, Zandy with a Z. I'm your favorite kind of person, an actress with opinions, political opinions, and just generally opinions. And, I see the kitty cat.
Yep.
And the kitty cat tail. And I'm also a mom and a dog mom. And a writer. I guess I can call myself that.
Thanks so much for coming on. I've been a fan of yours for a long time.
Thank you. Flattering.
I know you most from Children's Hospital, which is a really funny... it's not really a sitcom, although it's a comedy show that...
It's like a parody of it started off as a parody of medical shows.
Yeah, so a take on kind of like Grey's Anatomy and ER.
Weird thing. It's no longer... It's not a parody. It's like a parody of a parody of a parody.
Yeah, so if you like weird humor, I definitely encourage people to check out Children's Hospital. And you played Nurse Dory on that show. But this the reason we originally scheduled this conversation a couple months ago was you put out the call for a TV show to book you as a pundit to discuss the pathology of Donald J. Trump. And I don't have a TV show, but I have a fake TV show.
I'm as right as any of those other pundits, which means that they're always wrong. So I might as well, have a job saying incorrect things with authority.
Yeah, so why don't we do what everyone does constantly these days and talk about Trump for a couple minutes. And we'll link to a piece that you wrote about...
More than I talk about my family, and it's really disgusting.
We'll link to a piece that you wrote about adopting a dog in the wake of Trump's election. Yeah, which became two dogs, and we can maybe talk about dogs and Trump a little bit also. But in that piece, you mentioned that you grew up in New York City in the 1980s, and so you knew who Trump was as a child. I grew up in northern New Jersey in the 90s, and I knew who Trump was.
You knew who Trump was as a child, too.
Yeah, so it's like extra absurd what's happening when you kind of saw him firsthand, as he said, when he was in Texas. When you saw him as the weird figure he was in New York in the 80s and 90s.
He's really a joke, I mean, I don't think people really took him seriously.
No, I was thinking it was almost like seeing the class clown elected president, but he wasn't the clown exactly, because, I don't know, he wasn't always in on the joke, or
he's never in on the joke.
Yeah.
He's not funny. I don't understand when people are like, oh, he's funny. He's not funny. He's absolutely dead serious. It's just that it's so absurd you think it must be a joke.
He's good at like, not insult humor exactly, but he's good at cutting people down and belittling them.
Not funny. Like Chris Christie does the same thing. He's not funny. I mean, that's just cruel.
Right.
That's just being like facile and cruel.
Right. And he there's this like annual dinner, I think it's called the Al Smith dinner, where that's always like a white tie formal dinner where politicians are supposed to give mocking
the stupidest thing,
kind of stand-up routines, and his was really bad, so he can't even like read jokes in the way that most politicians are able to read jokes that are written for them.
Did you ever see the video that he and Giuliani did, where Giuliani is like
in drag,
pretending to be a woman, and he like squeezes her tits or something?
I do remember that.
I mean, that is like, I don't know, that's like worse than a foot fetish. That's like, that is quite revealing. And they think that's funny. That's the thing. They thought it was hilarious. So I really do think that they should go off and get married. Maybe if they have sex, they'll both disintegrate. I don't know.
So what do you think is his kind of particular pathology? Is it, I think it's really just like narcissism.
I mean, well, he's a sociopath, which I guess includes narcissism in there. I mean, take your pick. Like, take your pick. He's like, dementia combined with sociopath tendencies. Not tendencies. He is a sociopath. I mean, like, I don't hate that many people. I don't really hate people, but I hate this guy. I mean, he's just inhuman. I mean, that's just like, you know, when you go to Houston and people are suffering and you give a speech on top of a truck with trucks blocking you, and then you say, great crowd, what a great turnout. I mean, are you kidding me?
Yeah,
like,
so he seems...
You know, it's like he's trying to be as awful as possible, but I just think it comes naturally. I don't think he has to try.
Well, I think what I thought when he started running that he was just doing it for publicity, and I still kind of think that that's what happened, is that he
doesn't want this job. This is not fun for him.
Okay, so we agree on that he...
and there's nothing to do there, and he's like a creature of habit. He's like an old man. He wants to be in his bed. He wants to go down to Jean-Georges. He wants to go to Jean-Georges in the bottom of Trump Tower. You know, maybe get it to go even, like have upstairs. He wants to be in his bathroom and bathrobe, and he wants to, and his bathroom, and he probably wants to be just watching the news or himself, like old tapes of The Apprentice. That's what he wants to be doing.
Yeah,
calling up the person. Yeah, and that's what he wants. He does not want to work. I mean, the guy is not a worker.
Yeah, and I think that's actually kind of lucky for the country's sake, is that he is like inherently lazy and spends a lot of time watching cable news all day, so he has like less time to implement his bad policies because he's not really committed to it. So he just wants attention is basically what I think, and he wants to be lauded, and he wants to be number one. And there was a line in a piece in Politico about how he loves taking photos behind the desk in the Oval Office, and he's always like, it's like a huge smile on his face, and he's giving the thumbs up when he takes these photos, and he sees it as like the ultimate prize, which it is in a way that he's like, he won like first place in the race for America or something, and that's really all he wants.
He's a very aggrieved person, as most sociopaths are. And he, he's never going to be happy. And that gives me great comfort. Like, no matter how adulation or, attention he gets, it's never going to be enough. And he's always going to be unhappy. And his natural face, the way it settles, is always in a grimace. He can do that smile hold it for 2 seconds, and then it's back to the grimace. And his face is just kind of set that way, and he'll always be miserable. And that brings me great comfort.
So
not all.
So do you think, how do you see his like psychology playing out when it comes to like the rest of the term? Like, he's obviously not enjoying this as much as he thought he would.
I keep on thinking he's going to have a heart attack, considering that he thinks exercise, you should have a finite amount of exercise, and that he eats like absolute crap. But he has an iron constitution, and I truly worry he's going to outlive me.
Apparently he's
to be plagued by guilt the way many nice people are.
Yeah, he definitely can't feel guilt. Okay, I have a segue to discussing your piece, which is one of his weird insults is that he says something is like a dog. So he'll say like,
compliment as far as I'm concerned.
Right, so he says, Mike Huckabee lost like a dog, or,
That's ironic with Mike Huck. Right. You know how my name is Haunted Dog sometimes? I mean, most of the time on Twitter?
Right.
That's from Mike Huckabee's dog.
Right. So Mike Huckabee's son was involved in killing a dog at a summer camp when he was like 18 years old, and he got off because of his father.
When Trump said that, Mike Huckabee had like a shiver down his spine of guilt. Deeply suppressed guilt.
So Trump thinks saying something is like a dog is an insult, but he also says things are like a dog that aren't like a dog at all. So it's clear that he's never had a dog. Sorry, say that again.
Didn't he say I moved on her like a bitch?
Right. So he
Doesn't
does
even make any sense because like female dogs aren't the aggressors in that situation.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. So he doesn't understand dogs, and he's never had a dog, and maybe he's incapable.
God he's never had a dog. Thank God for dogs that he's never had a dog. I'm sure a dog would rather be like picking up garbage in the street than be in his house.
So he seems
only
incapable of
dog in the White House.
Well, yeah, almost every president has a pet of some kind of cat or a dog, but he seems incapable of the kind of like affection for another living creature that having a dog, comes to represent in most people's lives.
Yeah, you couldn't even have a betta fish.
So you wrote a piece about adopting a dog, which became two dogs in the wake of Trump's election. Can you tell us about that?
So I did, but like I came up with the piece because when I told people I had adopted these puppies, they're like, "Oh my God, I did too." And then I started seeing it, like literally 5 people at my kids' school said, "Oh, I did too," or "I bought a dog," or whatever, for the same reason, because they were feeling like so discombobulated and depressed because of his election. And then I realized that it wasn't just me; it was like a larger kind of movement, mm-hmm. if you will. And then I asked a shelter, and they said it's like adoptions have been up like 500% or something. Mm-hmm. And I realized like that this is, dogs are just such a pure kind of love. I mean, I see your cat is very sweet too, but it's a different kind of thing. Like dogs are just so dependent on you. Mm-hmm. Like you could leave a cat. I don't know what your cat's like, but you can leave a cat for a couple of days and it's fine. Or you could have someone just stop by and refill the water and you might have all your toilet paper ripped up when you get back, but basically it's fine. Like dogs, you need to be there for them. Mm-hmm. And then they just give you so much in return. Like they're just so happy to see you all the time. They're so happy to cuddle with you. They like sense when you're upset. And I mean, my kids are just like over the moon. The house has been like so cheerful. I mean, like super messy and things torn up, but still like just so sweet. They're so pure. They're so loving, and they're like a natural antidepressant. And, that's why service dogs, like I said in the piece too, like during 9/11, I worked near the World Trade Center, not in the World Trade, but a restaurant down there, and they had to close for a while. So at the Javits Center, they were doing like, reimbursements and emergency type things like FEMA. And so we went, and there are people who are much worse than I was. I just was out a couple of paychecks, that like been hell, and sitting there in the your dog's barking and now my dogs are barking.
Oh yeah, sorry about that. Yeah.
No, that's okay. It's funny. So they're sitting there kind of comatose, like just, I can't believe what's going on in my life. I can't even process it. And then all of these service dogs came through, like all these labs and golden retrievers and mutts and everything. And the people leading them were, "Would you like to pet our dogs?" And all of these people who had been sitting there, this just suddenly lit up and were petting them and talking to them. And the dogs were smiling at them. And these are really like, my dogs don't know it, but they're really like service dogs. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's like even watching the news with them is somehow makes it okay because you're touching them and they're kissing you and they're fighting with each other on you. And it's just cheerful.
Yeah. I've the
same way.
Yeah. I have a dog and 2 cats, and one cat was making a cameo appearance just now, and I guess the dog was making a cameo appearance. But yeah, everybody
wants to get in the act.
Exactly. Yeah, I thought it was a really great piece, and your dogs, which you often tweet photos of them on Twitter, are like super adorable. Um, yeah, I do think it's just, I don't know, it's an interesting contrast between the purity of love that a dog can offer and the kind of like soul suckingness of what's happening in national politics.
I literally did not think it through. It was not a rational decision. I like told my kids, no, we can't get a dog. Like, that's just, you're not ready. I can't take care of it. It's too much responsibility. I mean, of course I wanted dogs. I love dogs, but I was like, no. And literally on Inauguration Day, I didn't listen to his speech at the time. I couldn't. I was like in tears and, trying to hold it together for the kids. I was driving home and I saw out of the corner of my eye this rescue place. And I'm on La Cienega. Anyone who's from LA knows La Cienega is very big and busy. And I made an illegal U-turn and went back to the place and was like, "Do you have any puppies?" And then they had this like litter of 5 little mutts, little girls. And I played with all of them and I decided that I wanted this one little thing. It was like completely instinctual, and I didn't give it I all the like, oh, what ifs, I shouldn't, I can't, like went out the window. And I was like holding on to this video to show my kids. I just couldn't wait, I felt like despondent when, before I saw the rescue place, and then like I was like almost having a manic episode when I left.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's something about the way dogs, like I guess all animals, but dogs that are the one we're closest to, they just like live in the moment. They are not worrying about the future or the past.
And time, so they've got no other choice than to live in the moment.
Yeah, I will link to the piece below. I recommend everyone read it.
That's nice. Thank you. It was pretty right, honestly, because it was very, and I interview other people in it. It's like very, I don't know. I felt like just hearing about Trump all the time is so depressing, and I just thought this is like it's true, and it's upbeat, and maybe people it'll be an antidote to something if people like it,
Mm-hmm. You wrote another piece that's on your website that's about, this piece is about a year old, and it's reacting to, there was some controversy about Rene Zellweger having plastic surgery, and you wrote a piece about being an actress over the age of 40. Can you talk about that piece?
Well, what happened was this reviewer who's, quite respected and well-known, saw a trailer, not even the movie, but a trailer for the latest Bridget Jones's Diary, and was talking about how it was so distracting that Renee Zellweger's face didn't look the same, and that she probably had plastic surgery, and that it's hard for him to pay attention to anything else in the movie, which is absolutely absurd because he saw a trailer. So I don't know what he's really talking about. And second of all, I think she's probably had plastic surgery, but I don't know. She's able to move her face, which is what you should be able to do as an actress. She's older, so people's faces change. It's just a fact. And I feel like, I don't feel like, it's just known that there's a different standard for women who are aging than men who are aging. Mm-hmm. And I don't hear a lot of people talking about men having plastic surgery. And the fact is, like, honestly, almost everybody who's an aging actor or actress has had plastic surgery. Mm-hmm. So I don't know why it's such a, it's such an embarrassing, horrible thing for actresses to, it's like they're like adult, like the Scarlet Letter or something like that. And I don't feel like she's one of the people. First of all, the most important thing is she's an amazing actress. Like, she's an amazing actress. One of the best, and also apparently one of the sweetest. And I just got furious when, and that's, you know what, I'm not going to say anything. That's bitchy, but I just I think it's really hard for actresses my age, because there aren't a lot of roles for us, and it's very unfair. I mean, it is what it is, you know. I mean, this business is very unfair, but I feel like people need to check themselves a little bit as far as that's concerned.
Yeah, it's
do your job well. It doesn't really matter how old you are; it's how well you act.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and with Zellweger in particular, she kind of had her early roles were kind of like girl next door kind of roles, and yeah, it's weird how invested we get in.
So they're like, oh, she's so quirky. She's so, you know, it's so strange that he would be with somebody like her. That's what's so special about it, that he would be with an ordinary girl. I'm sorry. First of all, she's extremely attractive, like, you know, extremely attractive. And I'm pretty sure Tom Cruise has had plastic surgery.
I think he might have like a painting of himself in his attic that ages as he stays the same, because he looks remarkably the same as he did 15 years ago.
Quite possible. Also, you know, they gave her so much hell about her weight. You know, oh, she's too skinny. Oh, she's, you know, she put on. I think it's like really heroic to put weight for Bridget Jones's Dyer, commit herself as an actor that much. That would terrify me, because I'd be worried I couldn't. And she did an amazing job, and that was an incredibly honest and vulnerable performance, and it was very hard for her to get the weight off. And you know, everybody, all the magazines were like examining her with a fine-tooth comb. And who you know, it's your job as an actor to be sensitive. How do you turn that off when people who don't know you are examining your love life, examining your weight, examining the way you look? Oh, you look weird. You know, how does that feel? You can only shut off so much. You're going to hear it. And as a sensitive person, that's got to break you a little bit. I've had it relatively easy. I am just, when I read that review, and then I heard people, you know, being yes men to him. Oh, yes, he has a point. I'm like, no. It's like people like that are one of the reasons that this profession is so tough.
Yeah, it's almost like, you know, oh, here comes my dog. She might make a cameo appearance.
That's okay.
You know, people feel kind of like a sense of ownership over these stars, like they become invested in their lives, and we hear about their personal lives or some like fake version of their personal lives in gossip magazines, and we don't consider they're humanists. We just kind of consider them like as an image, and then when something happens to that image, like, you know, plastic surgery or something like that, it, you know, people take it as like a personal insult or something, like they were public property to begin with.
Yeah. I think it's I don't know if it's an American thing or a human thing, but we really love to build people up and put them up on pedestals and then knock them down.
Mm-hmm.
Feels good. It feels like a leveling to us, you know, like, how dare these people have what they have. We don't feel, it's usually people who don't feel great about themselves. We want them to feel as bad as we feel about ourselves. And I think it's really gross, honestly. It's not just celebrities. It's, you know, it's just like a jealousy thing. It's true with anything that's popular.
Mm-hmm.
It's like projection and then trying to destroy.
Yeah, it does seem like a almost natural human impulse. I mean, there's that tweet from Pixelated Boat about the milkshake duck.
Oh my! Yes.
Which encapsulates this.
Is that happened in lightning speed.
Yeah.
I knew it. I was like, you guys, just let that guy alone. You're going to destroy him.
Yeah, and the internet accelerates this process like faster than ever before.
Is really one of my favorite. He was like one of the great discoveries of Twitter for me.
Yeah, he's hilarious. And so for people who don't know, the tweet is something along the lines of, everybody loves Milkshake Duck, the lovely duck who drinks milkshakes. 5 seconds later, we regret to inform you that the duck is racist. And it does seem to capture something about the modern like media cycle of like people get elevated into a hero for a very brief period of time.
God, racist yet.
And yeah, and then everyone has the knives out, waiting to take them down. Yep. Do you want to talk about what you wrote about male fashion and everything that people like me?
Really stupid. It's super easy for me to write, but it's really stupid. And people need to know that this is just my opinion. I'm just exaggerating for effect. So far, I've pissed off a couple of guys, which I knew would happen. It's kind of a joke, and yet it's kind of serious. But they take it as if it's like, well, a couple of people have been really insulted, and I'm like, don't worry, you don't want to date me anyway, so I date you. So this is a non-issue. But yeah, I have noticed that some men need certain help in that area, and I have to say I provided this service for a number of boyfriends, and they've come out the better for it. I like to work within a person's style. I do not like to push a new style on them. I just want to encourage. I'm also doing this to my sons too. I'm like they're still letting me pick out their clothes, so I'm trying to like by osmosis just let it soak. Eventually they won't be like they're going to be offensively dressed at some point in time because that's just what teenagers do, but I hope that I'll like get some style in them so that when they get older and they live away from me that they will remember that. There's just like basic things. A lot of it is common sense. Like for example, no cargo shorts. Cargo shorts are the title of the piece is if you emergency style tips for guys if you want to have sex with another human being.
Right. I will not say what kind of shorts I'm wearing as we film this right now. But
if you have a wife already, then or husband or whatever, boyfriend, girlfriend, then this is only an improvement thing because you already have your mate. But if you do not have a mate and you're wondering why you're an incel, this might be the reason. These might be the reason.
And an incel, for people who don't know, is a involuntary celibate.
Yeah.
Which has a partner with the volcel is a voluntary celibate.
Well, I happen to think the volcels are really incels who are pretending they have agency.
Yeah, but aside from like monks and stuff, there probably aren't that many true volcels. And
I don't think so.
Yeah, so we'll link to that piece, which is amusing, and I don't know if I'll take it to heart. I am married, so maybe.
Seems like basic things like don't wear skinny jeans if you're not thin. Like who? Like first of all, it's not comfortable for you. I don't wear skinny jeans for that reason. Like I don't want to be in pain. I don't want to get a stomach ache. Like skinny jeans are fine. I got told that. Well, nobody under 40 doesn't dress in skinny jeans, and I was like, okay, but I'm over 40, so I'm allowed to. I'm not going to go out with 20-year-olds, so it's okay. It's fine. So these are my personal opinions. I'm pretending are other people's opinions.
Okay.
And also joke too. And then I'm adding. I wrote it last night, and I'm adding suggestions that other followers have written to me. So I'm going to add those in as we go because they're very good, and I didn't think of them.
The last thing I wanted to ask you about is kind of like how you use your Twitter. So that's how I
much. That's
well, I knew who you were from your comedy stuff, and then I saw you getting retweeted, and I was like, oh, that's the same person, and followed you.
I'm really that, like, the more than the when I signed up, like 10 people followed me out of politeness, and I'm always surprised that I have as many followers as I have, and grateful.
Well, one thing I'm interested about the way you use it is that you're just like very honest about your life on there, and I wonder if you like how you think about that. Have you gotten any like blowback from anyone in your IRL life about that?
Yeah, I'm trying to pull it back a little bit. People don't need to know when I'm really sad. I don't think. I don't want to use it as like, oh, I feel like I suck. Oh no, you don't suck. You're awesome. Like I don't want to do that. Everybody feels like they suck sometimes, you know. But I can probably like call people I know or text people I know and not do that online so much. And also, you know, it is like a professional thing for me. And, you know, hopefully I really did join it to publicize myself and projects. But of course, that went right out the window. And I started using it as like, you know, for political commentary or, you know, as a diary. That's my not so good. So I rarely promote myself on there. In fact, I'm really embarrassed whenever I have to promote myself. Mm-hmm. So I, you know, I use it as a professional tool, so people don't need to know when I'm going through a depression or whatever. You know, I just don't think, I'm not sure I don't mind when other people do, but I think I need to tone that down a little bit. However, I think that there's a nice balance to strike with vulnerability. Like you can be honest and real without being pathetic. Mm-hmm. Like there's a sweet spot in there that I think is really nice. And the surprising benefit of being that way is that I have made an unbelievable amount of friends from Twitter because probably I'm showing myself the way I really am. Because you can't hide over a long period of time, and God knows how many tweets I have. And I had no idea when I joined that I would make amazing friends all over the world. I just had a friend from Australia who I met on Twitter stay with us. Totally delightful. I would say I have a 98% success rate when I meet the people I have talked to online, maybe 100%, maybe not 100, maybe not 99%. I mean, you really get a sense of the way someone thinks when you observe them over a long period of time, and then you start to talk with them, and then, you know, you talk more personally. I mean, my DMs are probably the most chaste of anybody's Twitter. They're usually like, you know, they're very chaste. It's all very sweet. All these tough guys you think are tough guys are actually very loving and sweet and good friends and vulnerable themselves. And I just can't believe how many friends I've gotten from Twitter. So every time I think like, this website is so rotten and so and so depressing, then I think, okay, well, I just had a friend from Australia who I met on Twitter come stay with me and my kids for a week, and it was absolutely delightful. So how else would I have met my friend from Australia? How else would I be talking with like journalists I admire, you know, often? I'm an actress in LA. Like how did I meet all these amazing people from all over the globe? I met them through Twitter. It's a real democracy. You know, I when I start talking to these people, I didn't know what they did. Like I didn't know Pixelated Boat at first was an illustrator. I had no idea. A lot of these people, I didn't even know their real names. You know. Mm-hmm. But they all do different things, and the only thing that we have in common is that we're smart and we're funny and we're compassionate and. We're trying to have a larger view of the world, and that's what Twitter does. And how would I have met these people any other way? It's really amazing. It's really, really amazing. I don't know. Instagram I like, but I don't feel that way about it. And Facebook, I'm on it, but I don't even like it. I certainly don't feel that way about it.
Yeah, I've made friends through the service too, and it is interesting how.
How would I you, right?
Yeah, I reached out to you on Twitter, and you graciously accepted. So, yeah, there's something about the democratic aspect of it. It is different than Facebook, where like
I don't know how much money anybody has on it. I mean, I assume the socialists don't have a lot of money.
Some of them probably do.
Oh, some of them do. So yeah, I don't know. Some of them probably have more money than I do. Definitely.
Yeah, there's something about the fact that everyone is forced to stick to the 140 character limit that is like a weird like leveler.
Yeah, except
even
for
the most powerful person in the country, Donald Trump, is stuck at 140 characters.
Yeah, it's good and it's bad. I mean, there's always ways around it. You can thread like Eric Garland and then just talk out your ass for hours and hours and hours. But it's certainly been good for me because as you can see, I'm like, very chatty and verbose, and it's really good for jokes. Like that 140 character limit is so good for jokes, and it's like really good discipline for me to try to get a cohesive thought in 140 characters. I only wish life were as easy as trying to condense a thought into 140 characters. Then I could be like really good at life. I've gotten so much better at Twitter, and I just wish life were the same way.
That's a semi-optimistic note to end on. Do you have any? I feel like this is since you're like the first kind of like Hollywood celebrity I've had on my show. I feel like.
Wait. Let's stop right there. I'm definitely not a Hollywood celebrity. You should see my like taxes from last year. You would laugh.
Well, I feel like I should ask what like projects you have to plug.
What's that?
I feel like I should ask like what projects you have to plug.
Oh, well, I do have a project to plug. Oh, well, a pilot I did, like an independent pilot I did, is going to the New York Television and Film Festival. I believe that's what it's called. And it's in really good company with other people. Now I can't remember exactly who else is in it, but it's featured in the comedy pilot genre, and it's excellent. It's written and directed and edited by this person, Chris Lefko, who's like unbelievably talented, and I'm very, very, very honored to be in it and proud to be in it, and so hopefully it'll do well there, and hopefully it gets picked up by somebody. And then I have something coming out in November, but I signed a non-disclosure agreement, so I'm not supposed to talk about it.
Oh,
but
okay.
I am incredibly excited by it, and boy, I can't believe the cast, and can't believe the director hired me, and it's, even if I were not in it, it would be a wonderful show. It's going to be on HBO, and people should watch it.
Okay, cool. Well, that sounds interesting.
I'm by no means a star, but I have a very nice part, and if I, came in and said, "Here is your coffee," if that were my one line, I'd still promote it because I'm so proud to be in it.
Cool. So everyone should follow you on Twitter, where you're Zandy with a Z, all one word, because you're
like lies.
Right. Oh, I never made that connection. Can I ask you, what is Zandy short for something?
It's short for Alexandra.
Got it. So Zandy with a Z. On Twitter,
That's also Instagram, but I'm private. But that's okay. I might accept you. I have pictures of my kids on there, so I just want to have a little. I talk about my kids on Twitter, but I have pictures of them on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
and they're very, very cute, and and funny, much funnier than I am. And then I also have my blog. I hate that word, but I have my blog, which is just my name, zandyhartig.com, and it has some of my writing and stuff on there.
Cool. So people should check that out, and definitely if you're on Twitter and you're not following Zandy. Sorry, say that again.
My reel on there. It has my reel on there too. Sorry to be very actressy.
No problem. If you're on Twitter and not following Zandy, you're doing something wrong. So follow her, Zandy with a Z.
No, you're not.
And
you're fine. You're leading your. Good.
Thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you so much. This is really fun.
Cool. So thanks to all of our viewers and listeners also, and we'll see you again next time.